The Israeli war on the West Bank has begun at least 2 years before October 7. There has been a armed rebellion that has been brewing in the northern West Bank, in particular for at least a couple of years. Various brigades and various groups were behind these movements, and it consisted mostly of the new generation who are both fed up with the Israeli occupation, settler violence, but also of their leadership, which has been working hand in hand with the Israeli military to ensure that there is no viable resistance in the West Bank of any kind, by the way, not just armed resistance, but any form of resistance to Israel needed to be eradicated. Then the Gaza war started on October 7, and the Israeli army continued to, if not struggle, but outright defeat in Gaza. It cannot achieve any of its military or strategic objectives in the Gaza Strip. So why would they escalate by starting a war on Gaza, rather on the West Bank? And I think this has something to do with several elements. Number one, Israel has been, since the start of the war on Gaza, running a way forward, as in starting new war fronts to give the impression that they are in charge, that they are capable of handling more than one war front, and that they are, just basically trying to create distractions from a war gone terribly bad in the Gaza Strip. So they started the confrontation, or they tried to escalate the confrontation with Hezbollah. They tried to rope in Iran into all of this. And so far, they haven't really succeeded in creating that regional war. The West Bank is a different story, because Israel's territorial objectives exist in the West Bank. It's really all about the Israeli settler colonial project, and that colonial project is not in Gaza, is not in Lebanon, at least not for now, and not in Iran, but in the West Bank. And they believe that the West Bank is kind of the soft belly of the Palestinian resistance, because they are fighting against the Palestinian resistance with the help of the Palestinian Authority. And thus the idea of let's eradicate the resistance in the northern West Bank as a first step before annexing parts of the West Bank, and as a first step towards the ethnic cleansing, at least the internal ethnic cleansing of Palestinians from various parts of the West Bank to other parts of the West Bank, so that Israel may expand its colonial project, build new settlements, and so forth and so on. If you notice that the current attacks on the Gaza, on the West Bank, they are done in the name of eradicating the terrorist infrastructure. There is no terrorist infrastructure in the northern West Bank. There are no factories building weapons. There are no bunkers, for resistance fighters to hide in. There are people fighting in neighborhoods using light weapons. What Israel refers to as terrorist infrastructure is essentially the water supplies, the electric supplies, attacks on hospitals. In other words, they want to make the West Bank, or at least large chunks of the West Bank, uninhabitable, so that they may push the population out. This is really the ultimate aim for Israel. Finally, regarding the issue of can Israel handle more than one frontier? I think it all depends on the nature of the resistance that we are going to see in the West Bank. Will Israel succeed in achieving some tactical military goals here and there, and with no repercussions? Will the West Bank rise in a rebellion, in a new uprising or intifada against Israel? Will the Palestinian Authority be allowed to continue to play this role of being the support group for the Israeli military and the Israeli settlers? There are various questions that would have to be answered in order for us to determine with any degree of certainty whether Israel will be able to achieve its ultimate aims in the West Bank. One thing we know for sure so far is that Israel will not be able to eradicate the resistance in the West Bank, because it's rooted not only in the number of fighters involved, but in the collective psyche of the Palestinian people, who are determined to resist as they have done for years.